Hey, what's going on? It's another 180 Creator interview. I'm your host, Joe Teel. And like always, I got a great guest, Rick Fowler. What's going on, man?
On cloud nine right now, man.
Yeah,
I've been enjoying it the past week for sure.
I believe it. So y'all just won state 4A. That's a big deal.
Yeah, best in 4A. So, like, nobody can say they're better. The playoff format in Texas is about as good as it gets. You know, you play everybody's series, all the way through. Once you get to the state tournament, it's like the Final Four in the NCAA. So, it's bracketed out all the way through. When you win this thing, you are the best of about 208 schools. So, man, I hope we made the community proud. And, that was what it was all about. I think we had some kids that, like, got after it and represented us well here.
Heck, yeah. I like that. No, I definitely saw the community was like, they were on cloud nine, too. I think it was a big deal.
It felt good to bring it home. Like, being from here and all that makes it a little more special, I think. And
then coming from the school, and then you come back and coach. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, you can't make that up. I don't know. Like, it just, everything kind of lined up for all that.
It's almost like a story. I kept that. I was like, man, this is like a good story. Then having your dad there, too. And then,
he won the first one. I was on the team. I don't know, man. It's like a storybook thing. And, it's just something like you feel very grateful because, like, I know a lot of better coaches than me that never won a state title. And now I can sit here and say, like, I'm in the company of these other people that have. And it's just really cool to, call yourself a champion. And, hopefully we can keep building habits that lead us to more. But,
I think y'all could do it again.
It's a big one. Yeah, you definitely can. Like, you look back and you're like, when you're going through it, it's like a day-by-day deal. So you don't really look up to see where you're at until it's over, and then you're holding the trophy up. And if you get a team that takes it day by day, like our guys did this year, like, it can happen again. Obviously, like, the chances are small, but, like, that's every year for everybody. So we have as good a chance as anybody.
Do you think there is an element of luck to it also, huh?
That's baseball. Like, it's like odds, you know what I mean? Like, you put the ball in play enough, you get a hit, a weird one. Like, we had 2 infield hits in the inning. We scored 3 runs in the championship. Like, just a crazy inning.
There was the one where he kicked the ball.
Yeah,
that was crazy. That was crazy.
Like, but it comes from, like, this constant grinding it out. Like, where, if Dylan Neighbors doesn't put that ball in play with 2 strikes, like, that never happens. Right. And that's kind of our guys. It's like, put it in play, you never know what happens. So it worked out for us.
I was listening to the announcers, and they were saying that you had kind of like an aggressive coaching style. What do you think about that?
I would say at times aggressive. I think my players would agree with that. A little bit of old school. I was raised up. My father coached me in high school. Back then it was like I needed somebody to get into me a little bit, like light a fire under me a little bit. So. I got players that need that, and I got players that need a little, I tell them they're the best, and I tell my guys all the time, it's fair but not equal. Like, I'm going to treat you different than I would another guy, but it's going to be fair because you're going to earn everything you get here, and I would say it's a little aggressive at times for certain people, and I expect it done right, and there's a standard there that we got to uphold.
Yeah, I've seen it. There's so much strategy in baseball, like. And, like, there was times where you'd pull the pitcher out, like, you pulled the pitcher and then immediately, like, it seemed to pan off. Or, like, just something, like,
I've had to go the other way, too.
You've had to go the other way, too, though, huh?
And I think some of that comes down to knowing your guys. Like, I try to watch my guys play more than other coaches probably do. Through the summer, I try to go watch them just to see them play in different environments because you start to know your guys. And I think the coach that knows their players the best and, what they're capable of and, how they react in certain situations can tend to make more right moves than others, I guess. But, sometimes that is just straight, like, you got lucky. Like, you're guessing a little bit with some education behind it.
Is it a gut feeling, though? Like, you just know, did you ever felt like you just know, like, oh, I got to do this now?
Yeah, you have the gut feelings that, like, but it comes from experience. And that's what helped having my dad, Coach Jones, and Coach Rushing there, like, with all the experience we have in our dugout, I may be trying to go get a guy, and Coach Jones be like, nah, give him one more. Or, 2 more pitches. And then I'll look at him and be like, get him out.
Yeah.
And Dad, same thing. And like, hey, Dad, we need a hit and run here. He's like, no, I'll let it play out. Sometimes it's like being aggressive. Sometimes it's like, sitting back and taking a couple pitches to see what's going on. So, I mean, there's a lot of that in the game. I know you get exhausted, like, you make a lot of decisions. So, like, after a game, you kind of come down from all that and you look back and you made like 1,000 decisions and you have no idea if they're going to be right or wrong, but you just have to make them.
Yeah, because it's like a lot of the other sports are so fast paced. That's like you take like basketball, like the coach is coaching obviously, but there's a lot of this and that and this and that. Where baseball is like kind of almost like slower and more methodical.
It's a slow, like you have to, you can see what's going to happen. You anticipate like, okay, as a player, the bases are loaded. I got to know that if a ball hits my left, what I'm going to do with it. Ball slow roller. And all this has to play through your head. And it's slow, but it's fast because you got to play that stuff out in your mind before it happens to be really good at baseball.
Slow, that makes a lot of sense because it's slow. But when the action hits, it's immediately fast.
So much anticipation. It's like I know people that were listening to stuff on the radio through our playoff run were just like, the radio kills me because you can't see it.
Right.
You know, you're just sitting here imagining all these things in your mind and like you don't know what's going on. So it's a fun sport to be a part of, especially playoff baseball because it is unpredictable. Like you just can't. You know, and it's just fun to be a part of.
You could feel like, man, I could feel like momentum swings and stuff. There was the nerve wrack. Those last two games, especially, were like super nerve wracking.
Yeah, it's fun. That's the funnest stuff though, because like adrenaline's up, down, emotions. You know, ride with it. Riding the wave of emotions all the way through is just so much fun, and that's what makes the game fun to me. Is like that's why I love baseball. That's why I've been a part of it. You know, it's been a part of my life since I was born. So
So I'm guessing you probably played T-ball and then...
Yeah, I mean, I think my parents took me to like a Ranger game when I was like 2 weeks old. I think I was watching Nolan Ryan pitch or something. You know, my dad being a coach, that was just part of it. So did he play,
right? He played?
He played college baseball. He played at LE. You know, he graduated from LE too in the 70s. And, played college baseball. My mom was a college basketball player. So both competitors, and, I was lucky enough to be brought up in a household where sports was not the most important thing, but like... emphasis was placed on winning and competition. And the worst thing that happens, you lose, get back up and go again.
Yeah, you get better.
Yeah, get better, learn.
Man, I think the sports household, like as long as the parents don't go too crazy and like just try to turn you into a dog so hard that like ruins your childhood, but just the sports home, it can be a good home and it's a good place to grow and figure out who you are.
Oh, no doubt. Like, I wouldn't trade my growing up for anything. I mean, I grew up at the baseball field, same one I coach at now. And it's like I went up there every day, watched really good players when I was younger. I think that's what, helped me to develop into a pretty good player myself. And then, watching it all, like now I look back and I'm like, man, I absorbed a lot of stuff when I was probably 5 or 6 that I didn't realize I got, So I think that gave me a little head start in coaching, at least, for sure.
Yeah. So... we talked before, the year y'all won was 2006. What grade were you in?
I was a junior on that team. So I got to come back and try to repeat, and we lost the final the next year. So,
but it went all the way, so it almost flip-flopped because y'all went to the final last year.
It was exactly the opposite. Right. So we went and lost last year and then come back this year and win it. So, it's kind of weird to, I don't know, it's been full circle for sure.
But you had like you and Will Middlebrooks, and there was some. I'm trying to think. There was some more.
Coach
people.
Rushing was on that team. Our first base coach now.
Yeah.
I can name them off. I mean, I just see them all in my head right now. Clay Jefferson, our catcher. Corey. I mean, there's a million guys that I just see them right now. And that bonds from winning together, playing together, grinding together back then. I mean, it's still there. So I still talk to those guys. Some of them were at the game.
Yeah. So I bet that was cool. Did that feel? That was did we have one in Liberty Eylau before that?
No, that was the first baseball one. We won the '99 football, and then '06 baseball was actually the second one. And then I was on the football team when we won it in '06. Football fall. So it was a pretty awesome run we had when I was in school here.
Who was on the football team? That was
LaMichael.
There
was a bunch of good players on that team too.
What position you play?
I was a receiver. I was a receiver on that team. Yeah.
Who played quarterback? Was it?
Middlebrooks. He could throw it. And he was the best punter you've ever seen. Also,
really.
I've seen him kick a ball like 80-something yards, and it's just nuts, dude.
Wow,
nuts. He could do anything though.
Yeah. So LaMichael James. Yeah.
Yeah, no wonder we won, right?
Yeah.
We were well coached, too. Like, Coach Brady did a great job with that group. I mean, it was, it's all got to come together to win it. And that's what happened with that group in '06, football and baseball. So.
Yeah. Dang, so that was in the same year.
Same calendar year, different school years, though. I was a senior in football, junior in baseball.
Yeah, because, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's kind of...
So, at what age did you feel like, okay, like, maybe this could be like a career type deal?
Man, I always thought when I was little, like, if you ask me, just kind of like the kids now I talk to at school, it's like, man, I'm going to be a baseball player, Like, I knew I wanted to do that. Was I good enough? No. until like I remember when I was like 5'8" as a freshman. And I remember riding my bike from Randall Road over in, Ellie, all the way back roading it to the high school to lift every day. And I came back my sophomore year and I shot up to like 6'2", and now I could run all of a sudden. I wasn't like super, I wasn't super fast, but I was fast.
Yeah.
And, it kind of changed the way the trajectory kind of went up from there. And had a great year in baseball that year. Got hurt in football the next year, but had a great baseball season. Obviously, we won state and all that. And then from there, I just kept getting better. I was kind of a late bloomer, but got better and better every year, and definitely put the work in. I think that's what a lot of kids miss nowadays. Is like,
oh, you think so?
Oh yeah, there's an entitlement now, like where they'll tell you they want to play in the NFL, but I've never seen them work hard enough to play in the NFL because I know some guys that have played at a high level and they work pretty hard too. Like you can't just show up and it happened for you.
Yeah, hard work can beat talent a lot of times.
Work ethic is probably, having a habit of work ethic might be the number one thing we try to teach in the baseball program. As far as like,
how do you go about teaching that? So, because like I think about me in high school, probably not the best example of somebody in high school, but like if I was in your program, how would you get even like somebody like me to like think about like hard work? Now I worked hard. Like
I know what you're saying. So like it comes to me like as you got to be able to show them they're getting better. So like I think kids like when they get the feedback of like, and when they step into our baseball program, it's like, hey, we're very upfront with them about where their ability level is now. Like I just had exit meetings last week with every kid that played on the varsity playoff roster. It's like, look, here's where you're at right now. Like this is where you fit for next year. That can always change, but here's what you need to work on. Here's what you need to get better at. And then we try to challenge them in practice through the off season, through the season on those things that we think, win baseball games. And like, they can see themselves getting better. So even the guys that aren't necessarily starting, and they're probably not happy about their role, but they know they're getting better. And that helps a little bit to soften, I guess, the blow of not being on the field all the time. But I think that when you can show kids that they're getting better, I think you can start breaking it down to day by day. Like, hey, you had a good day today. Like, make sure you stack it up. And now we can start seeing some real improvement.
Yeah. And then earn the chance to play.
I do the same thing when they struggle. It's like, hey, man, you're slacking. Like, you are not meeting that standard. Like, so have you stacked those days together? Like, no, we'll get it back going. And, we'll call kids out like that. And
man, I think as the world changes, I could just see the importance of a coach. Like, like the world possibly getting more, well, not possibly, getting softer,
Definitely softened up.
Soft, yeah. So like having a coach, because I've always responded, like me personally responded to like, because especially when I went to the Army, I responded really well to them like getting
in your
on
face
me.
And like holding you accountable.
That gets me going. Like that, I'm a lot more productive with some angry grown man trying to get me to do right.
I was too. I was the same way. And I do have players that don't respond well to that, like shuts them down. So you got to find that balance. And it's like, but there's a time where I've challenged all of them at some point to, meet the standard that we're trying to put out there. Same thing with anything else. It's not different in baseball.
I don't think I had that much accountability in high school myself. And then like the programs, I would get kicked out of the, football, I didn't last. And then basketball, I was good at basketball, but didn't last. We
played some pickup together. You can play a little bit. Yeah.
I'm probably better now than ever because I play a
just
ton.
Picking up play,
I play so much. But I mean, didn't play. I played one 9th grade game and then just I don't know, man. I had a lot of family issues too. And then I just never, I don't know. So that's one thing that impresses me about how you've motivated these guys. Because I think about me at that age. And it's like, okay, if somebody can take, not everybody was quite as wild as me, maybe, but if you could take that age group guy and get them so motivated and get them so, dialed in, like that's impressive.
Yeah, I never thought about it like that, but I mean, I don't know. It's just like, I guess it's just become kind of what we do. I know the first couple groups I've had, I took the job, got the job in 17. I mean, they would probably think that I was just hammering them all the time, and I think that needed to happen. I don't think that they understood what it was going to take to get it turned around, but, I didn't plan on leaving until it was fixed, to where I thought it needed to be. And I think that at some point, that standard kind of changed over time. And I can't really tell you when, but
you're saying it just got a little higher.
Like I think kids started kind of saying like, man, this dude's kind of serious about what he's doing, and you know,
and then the results too, huh? Like when everybody listens to you, you start going a little further and a little further.
Look at the trajectory of it, and it's kind of been like a gradual build up since 17, you know, and I'm proud of all those first players, just like I am the group that won it, you know, last week, but. It's been a crazy trip. I just look back at it and I couldn't tell you what went right, what went wrong, but it was like, we're here now, so let's try to keep it here.
Yeah, I was watching that last game and WT got the end. He got that triple, and then nothing came from it. I was so worried at that point. I was like,
So that's where in the dugout you're stressing a lot. To look at Dad, I was like, man, that was a big one. Like we didn't get that running. That was huge, you know. So like at that point you kind of doubt a little bit, but you try to. You know, within the game, like the dugout's probably a less, you know, stressful place to be than actually in the stands or listening, because it's like everybody kind of knows what they're doing in there. Everybody has kind of a duty. Everybody has a job. So it's kind of like we didn't get that run in, but let's move on. Like we got to go.
Because what was it? The next inning where the run started coming in?
Yeah, it was the next inning. Yeah. So we ended up scoring 3 the next inning, and then that's because
you could have they could have just laid over in that moment.
They could have been like, man, that was our chance.
We Blue State.
2 of our best hitters came up right after triple. You know, Hal and Pipes have been coming through all year, and it just didn't right there. You know, it just wasn't meant to be on that spot. And, you know, we could have really gotten down there, but we didn't. I mean, I was proud of him for just responding the next inning and coming out and scoring enough runs to win.
I like how he came out there and started it off, though. Like, the triple wasn't... It almost felt like in that moment he was trying to, like, will it. You know what I mean?
There ain't no doubt. WT's like that, too. He was just... I mean, I talked to him, you know, we have our exit meetings with our seniors also, and that's a little shorter, but it's like, you know, I talked to him about like the legacy that he's left is like, it's impressive. Just the way he practiced every day was like, I mean, people talk about Michael Jordan and basketball and like how he treated everything like Game 7. And like, that's how WT was, man. Like every time we're playing and we scrimmage, like not scrimmage a lot, but we play a lot of games in practice. And that dude out of the box is always 110, like, always. And that's the thing is, you know, when I talk to those juniors, I'm like who you want to be like? Like, you need to be like WT next year. Like, actions speak louder than words. Like, get after it. And that's what that dude did since he stepped on campus here as a sophomore. So
if he came as a sophomore, did he immediately start pitching? Or,
yes, he was actually our ace as a sophomore. Yeah. And, you know, we had Bellotti back then too. Gabe Bellotti was a really good pitcher for us. And, you know, he kind of got hurt that offseason, so WT had to kind of step up as a sophomore and pitch a lot. And Bellotti was still there, but he wasn't as healthy as he was the year before. So it was kind of one of those deals where him and WT were still our best 2 pitchers, but WT had to step up and pitch a lot more than we expected.
And pitching's huge. I mean, that's most of the
It's the main thing, and that's what you're going to try to replace when you look at next year. You know,
so like, you've got a tough job now as far as replacing pitchers.
Yeah, Cam and WT being on the mound. You know, Hagan in the outfield was really good for us. And those 3 guys left you know, Hagan played in like 48 playoff games in his career as a Leopard.
Wow.
Like from his freshman year, we called him up his freshman year and he ran bases for us. And so, I mean, I don't think that's ever been done at LA. I think that's a record. So, yeah, it's pretty nuts. Like,
But there is a lot of young guys that look good out there.
Yeah, so that's the thing is like you look at, you know, Pipes has been playing since he was a freshman, Hal, and they're coming back. So you're kind of like, you're excited about Neighbors, Colin.
I like old Maddox.
Go down the list. Maddox Moore is a player.
I know Mickey. Shout out to Mickey Moore.
Mickey's the man. Mickey's the man.
Yeah, so I've seen Max kind of grow up a little bit. He's come to play flag football with us.
Yep, all the time. Yeah.
So I play with all the
and
Moore
Maddox
brothers.
just grew up at the ballpark. I mean, it's been a pleasure to coach all the Moore boys, man. Brian, Nate, now Maddox. So that's been
athletes.
Fun. Nate was. I mean, people forget how good Nate was for us, and Brian gets forgotten because he was on a couple of those first teams. But I mean, Brian was all district every year, hit good. If we were better, he'd have shown a lot more. But you know, Nate was there when we kind of got, you know, to the region, you know, made some runs in the playoffs. So everybody he was player of the year in the district one year. So he was unbelievable for us.
Man, so there's lots of kids, lots of chances to keep it going. I'm excited. I think because I remember like when I was in high school, there was like, I guess like a little lull between like the champion, the 2016
and
then like y'all coming in and making it better. Like when I was there in the middle, our baseball team was struggling bad.
Yeah, they were struggling, but, they still kept plugging away a little bit, and that's like program's history. You look at like any school and it's like there's going to be dips in it and there's going to be dips in talent and all that stuff. And, hats off to Tom Middlebrooks, Casey Colley, like keeping that thing going, during some tough years, some lean years. And, it just sets up good where like we kind of got some better players, as time went on and it kind of cycled back up for us. So,
right.
And that's a good thing.
I'm hoping our football should do that.
It should. Yeah, we'll be fine, I think. I like what they got going over there. I haven't been in the building much because of baseball.
Right, that makes sense.
Been a little busy, but I'll get back over there.
What are you're on the field, right, during the football games?
Okay, so my duties will change this year with Coach Willard coming in. He's trying to help me to focus more on baseball. So we're going, I'm going to freshman football, but I'll probably still help out on Friday nights. I'm sure he's got a duty for me, but no, it'll be cool, man, to kind of spend some more time with my family on the weekend because football is busy and then baseball is long too. So he's helped me out on that for sure.
How do you balance that? Like, because you have a young kid too, don't you?
I have a 2-year-old and 1-year-old.
Yeah,
girl.
I have a 3-year-old and 1-year-old.
Yeah, it's tough. You know how it is then. Yeah, it's not easy.
It is.
I don't balance it well. My wife will tell you that.
Yeah, that's how she does. Because I'll work all day and then like go do these podcasts and she'll be like, what are you doing?
That's kind of the way it is for me. So I understand all that, but she's good. She's good about it. She's a good coach's wife, man. My kids are at the games most of the time. She understands. Like at the end of the day, we're trying to, what we're doing is really, it's going to affect more people. My decisions are going to affect 19 players and, other coaches and
and then a whole bunch
managers.
of people watching.
Yeah, and it's kind of like,
and kids coming up too. Like you got to think the middle schoolers right now, they're seeing that. They have something to look like a program to look forward to.
That's kind of what I'm hoping. It feeds on itself and just keeps growing because I want to make this thing as good as it can be.
Yeah.
This home for me. I'm not too ambitious about taking other jobs or all that stuff is kind of. That was when I was playing. Like when I got released from baseball or professional baseball, it's kind of.
So let's talk about that. So after high school, you went to play college.
Yeah, I went to Texarkana College, junior college, and then Texas Tech after that. So while I was at Texas Tech, I had Tommy John surgery. So I missed a year there, redshirt my junior year.
The Tommy John, that's from throwing.
That's from throwing. Usually overuse, but it was one of those deals where I never felt bad or anything. It just happened on a random pitch.
From pitching? Or,
I was pitching. I was like in a summer league and I had thrown through the season. Probably just threw too much that year.
Yeah.
And I go to the summer league and last start of the summer, I'm actually throwing like a no-hitter in the 5th inning. And I throw a ball and it feels like something just went got pulled in there.
Ooh.
It didn't hurt too bad. It was just like weird feeling. And I threw another one. That sucker went off the backstop. Like,
oh no!
I didn't know where it was going at that point. I was like, I had to call the coach out there. I was like, man, some of my forearms jacked up. Turns out I needed surgery, so it's like that was it. So that was a whole year out, and then my year at Texas Tech, I ended up getting drafted by the Orioles, and having a pretty good pro career. I mean, other than not making it to the big leagues.
So the steps in baseball to make it to like MLB, you have to.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah,
there's less more now than there used to be.
Right.
They restructured everything to where there are less teams. But when I started, there was a GCL league, which was like low A rookie ball. So you got rookie ball, then you got low A short season, then you got low A long season, then you had high A, which I played at all of those levels, and then double A, triple A, big leagues.
Yeah.
So you're talking about like 6 steps to get. Yeah.
Whereas you just go from college to NFL college to NBA.
Not that one's easier or harder. It's just like, it's just different.
More steps.
Yeah, there's more steps and you got to produce more for longer to get your shot. And sometimes.
I don't know, how much more popular is NFL still? I mean, is football still more popular than baseball?
NFL is king, right? I mean, I think the big thing that's changed the sports is gambling. Like,
oh yeah,
I mean, you're seeing players get popped for it now. It's crazy. Like gambling in sports has changed the game. Like people enjoy gambling, so you got a baseball game tonight. Like I know people that bet $5 a game a day, and it's
so what do you bet on basebole games?
I don't know. I'm not real familiar. If I was betting, I don't bet on it just because I don't have the money all the time. So but I'd probably bet those parlays or something. I had a buddy that figured out, you can go like tie after the first inning, which most of the time happens. Yeah. So he'd bet that. There's a lot of little prop bets you can do. Like that makes sense. I don't know, but you can bet the line too, and I don't really know how that works. So.
They bet so much on the NBA and
NBA,
the NFL.
NFL's the king though.
Yeah.
Like, that's Sundays. I mean, people glue in. It makes it fun for a lot of people to watch and have something to root for. But
I'd be cool for betting about $5.
yeah, I ain't big
and then
on.
after $5, I start losing $5, $10. Wait a minute.
They're talking about buying milk for your baby and all that stuff. So yeah, paying your mortgage.
I've never been good at gambling. I don't go to the casino.
No, and that's why those casinos get bigger and they never shut down.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna lose money.
Yeah.
Like,
no, it's not set up.
people
for
think
the
they're
people.
winning, but they're not.
Yeah.
So.
That's what I had a guy on here. This was a funny episode. He came on here, and this dude's like addicted to the casino, and so he was like, "Bro, I'm gonna tell you about the casino." I was like, okay, we'll talk. Let's have a good talk about the casino. Yeah. By the end, he was like, man, I need to quit the casino.
Yeah, he figured out he ain't made no money.
He told me he could hit for $50,000 and he would still be in the hole since he'd been going for like 8 or 9 years now.
He's quit.
Yeah.
I would buy a lot with $50,000.
Yeah, that's what I said. Imagine if you kept all that money, dude.
There's a lot of good things you can do with that money.
Yeah. Man.
I gotta go watch that episode. That would be a fun watch.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, I need to. I'll get it from you after.
Yeah, he's funny. He's a funny dude. He makes like skits and stuff. So he's like a real like comedic dude. But no, he feels like he's got it figured out, and he wins lots of money. But apparently he doesn't know when to stop. So he'll
win that money and then give it right back.
Yes, because sometimes he'll tell me, "I'll get up 15,000. I'll get up 20,000." I said, "Well, what do you leave with?" Man.
Gone.
That's it. So, but I mean, there's been times where he did actually win. So I don't know. I could see how that type of, because they're just playing on your brain.
They know every emotion. Like it's just crazy how that.
Yeah. So, anyways, back to baseball. Here we go. See, that's how fast I can.
Got on the gambling. Yeah.
But no, gambling is a big deal. So, how do you keep like the umpires and stuff? Because they gotta know what the bets are, right? How do you keep an umpire from getting his cousin to bet?
Well, they just banned an umpire from the MLB. I saw it the other day, for gambling. So like Pete Rose was like every clubhouse you walk into, like minor league, major league, doesn't matter. It says do not bet on baseball. Like it's a rule. Like don't do it. So you just don't mess with it. I mean, if you do, you're gonna get banned from the game forever, and like it's not worth it. So.
I just don't see. I see like. If you because you can go look on DraftKings or whatever and say, okay, like if you're the player, I got to get 25 points tonight. You tell your cousin
that not happen.
Yeah,
you're gonna get caught.
I'm gonna tell my cousin to go.
Somebody's taking that bet and somebody's gonna snitch. This dude's cousin keeps putting bets on him going the under. He's doing it every time.
Let's talk about umpires. How much? Do they ever affect the game? Like really affect the game? Do you think you lost any games?
No, I didn't lose any because of umpires. Umpires make you adjust, and we try to cover this in practice.
Right.
It's like, okay, so the first thing we got to do is figure out this guy's zones because we are a team that likes to take pitches, stuff like that. So make that pitcher throw our pitch. Well, if the umpire's zone is the plates. To me, I pitch professionally, so like I understand the plate is a strike. Anything off the plate should be a ball. Anything below the knee should be a ball. Anything above the belt should be a ball. But every umpire is a different zone. So then you go trying to figure out that zone in that game, and it changes game to game. That's kind of fun part of baseball to me. It's like, okay, we got a different umpire today. Like, let's see what he's calling. Now you get one that's really wide, really big. It's frustrating because you're just hard to hit. Like it's hard to hit a pitch at your ankles. And then try to hit the same one at your belly button. So, but each game's a little different. So it definitely affects the game, but it's like which team can adjust the best to that zone.
Yeah.
And that's what we try to be good at.
So if you're from the dugout, right? Who's watching the zone? Is it like the first base?
We ask our hitters.
So it's up to the kids to tell you, like, okay,
so like a hitter will come back and be like, and we need them to be honest about it. Like, hey, was that a strike? Like, no. Like, don't come over here mad and tell me it wasn't because I'm going to watch film the next day and just jump you during film because you lied. And I thought they were calling, a ball 3 balls off when that was on the plate. So, like, I get on the kids and film for that. Like, hey, you didn't tell me this was on the plate. Like, you took it on the plate. That's a strike. Like, so swing.
You're telling like all the hand signals and stuff. I mean, you're telling them sometimes not to swing, or you're telling them to...
We do. I tell them to take sometimes. It depends on the hitter, the count, like stuff like that. So like if we're sometimes I get a feeling that a guy's struggling on the mound, so I don't want to help him out. So I'll give a take just to, or point at whatever we do that day.
Yeah.
That changes from game to game. But, we can give a take sign to not give that guy anything and make him throw another pitch and try to run him out of pitch count, because that is part of the game too, is making sure that guy's throwing enough pitches to where he gets tired.
Oh, that does make sense. Yeah. Because, and explain the pitch count to me. How many pitches can you pitch?
110. So
for how long?
Okay, so during districts, it's like game by game. So like Tuesday night, there's like different areas of rests. So if you throw 45 to 65, it's 2 days rest. 65 to 85, 3. 85 to 110 is 4. So that kind of goes out the window during the playoffs because you get 110 for the whole series.
Oh, wow.
So the day-to-day rest is out the window, but the state tournament, same way. So like WT threw 6 in the semifinal to finish the game. We just brought him in to close it out because Kim got tired.
I remember that.
And that left him with 104 for the next day. So it affected the next game. But
yeah, because didn't you had to pull him? You had to pull him at the end of the other game.
He went. That last hitter was going to be it for him, and we knew going into that last hitter he was done because he hit that 110 mark.
Yeah. He seemed like he was kind of wearing down too, though.
He was getting tired. He got tired about the 4th. There was one inning where he walked a couple, bases were loaded. He struck a guy out, I think, to get out of it. And then,
I was so scared that inning.
That was a tough inning. We were worried in the dugout, like, man, is he out of gas? Should we go get him now? And he was only about 75, 85 pitches, but the dude is giving everything he's got. You know? And so you kind of worry about him running out of gas there. But, man, he regrouped, got out of the inning, got us one more. Yeah. And we were thinking he was not going to make it as far as he did at one point, and he ends up getting very deep into the game.
Yeah, that dude's an animal. The pitching fast, like the
velocity,
like but the hurry up, like he doesn't wait very long.
Oh yeah, so that causes teams some problems.
So is that something that you come up with? He comes up with?
He works that way anyway. Now we do try to keep our pitchers on like a 8 to 12 second. Like it's like, hey, hurry up. Like,
and so the faster you pitch, the harder it is for the.
Not necessarily. It's just like we like the pace. We want to tempo people out of the game.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, we want to play at a faster pace, make them feel like they're speeding up what they're doing. And a lot of teams just call time. I mean, it's not impossible to, it's just
because the guy can just do that, right?
That's what Corpus Cal did.
Yeah.
Salina did it a lot too in Game 3 against them. But it still makes them feel rushed. And I think you get something out of it when you work fast like that.
Yeah. Man, there's so much. It's like mind games almost, isn't it? It's like,
it is. And, it's a lot of stuff I didn't know 6 years ago that you learn as you go. Like, this works, this doesn't.
How hard was it to transition from... like, I'm a pro player, but when you're a pro player, you've got to think a lot about you, right? And then all of a sudden, now it's all about these kids. Was that tough?
That wasn't hard. The hard part was like the level of baseball. Like, I literally went from watching a professional baseball game to a JV high school game, and I did not realize, like, you just forget, like, man, these kids aren't pros. Like, it's not the same. And, that took a minute, but it was like, you start to realize what is... what's going to win high school games instead of trying to win pro games or whatever else. So.
Yeah, because that's a lot different. Did you ever have any? Well, I know your dad, but did you have any coaches that you model your coaching after?
All of them.
All of them.
All of them. So every coach I've had has affected me, man. Just can't thank them enough, whether good or bad. Like what not to do or what to do.
Yeah, because you can learn from
bad ones just like you learn from the good ones. And I played for some I didn't enjoy playing for, but they were really good at their job. And then I played for some that I really liked as people, but I didn't think they were very good at coaching, and didn't give me anything to make me better. So like I appreciated the ones that, really poured into, making me a better player along the way. More than I did the ones that were just nice guys, like kind of that deal.
So what do you think about how Texarkana game day is now? I don't think we talked before.
We talked a little bit about streaming, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool for kids. Like the coverage that came from this run was like unbelievable. Like, I went to eat the other night and it was like 7 people. Just, it's just like everybody's on board. Everybody can see it. They kind of know who the kids are. Like we had camp today with the little kids and, there's 108 kids out there. all of them know who Cam Gamble is because they saw him on game day, or Hagan, all our players, like they know him. And it's like,
that's cool.
It's really cool because they can look up to him and they're really good kids too on top of it. So that's kind of who you want your kids looking at. So that was a neat deal to see like little kids day that watched, them pitch on or play on game day or whatever platform. And
that's so wild. Do you wish that there was a game day type situation when you were in high school?
No, because social media comes at it. I'm glad we didn't have a whole lot of that back when I was younger.
You probably never did know.
Facebook came out, I was like a junior. Like that's the most, Snap, all this stuff didn't exist. So,
right.
Like all this stuff these kids deal with now, man, it's a lot. Like it makes them a little bit, all over the place. And man, you can't blame them. Like there's too much out there. Like
there is a lot out there.
And they don't sit down. Like I talk to my baseball players, like, man, when's the last time you watched a baseball game? They don't. Like they watch highlights, they watch clips, but they don't watch. Like, I sit down and watch a ball game twice a week. You know?
I catch myself like even on these podcasts talking to people, and I'm talking basketball and stuff, and then I think back, it's like, man, everything I'm talking about is a clip. I'm just like following these narratives.
That's
and then
the way it is. Yeah,
repeating what the sports center guys are saying.
Yeah, it's
and
like
now I feel like I'm smart because I watched some clips and listened to Stephen A. Smith yell at somebody or something.
Yeah, so it's just, but that's how the players are now. So like, you try to actually work into that a little bit, like. Man, if I see something I like on a game or something, like I'll try to clip it up, screen recorder or something, send it to them, be like, hey, here's a hit and run. You're not gonna see it on Sports Center, but like, you try to play into the clips a little bit. We do it with film. Like I try to keep it, 20 or 25 clips when we go to a film session, like super focused. Like, hey, we're gonna look at 2-strike hitting today. That's it.
Yeah.
Like keep them, like, hey, this is the focus. Like take a scalpel instead of a hammer, and kind of get that stuff done and chip away at it.
But you have to watch all the film, huh?
Oh yeah, I watch a ton of film.
Film.
I live off film in the spring.
So you're at the house watching?
I watch the house in school usually. I hate to say it, but during class I watch a little bit.
What class do you teach now?
World history.
World history.
Yeah, world history.
I love history. And I didn't in school, which is crazy.
It's my favorite subject. I majored in it. It's an awesome deal. Like I can't get kids to believe it, but it's a cool thing. Like history's cool.
I think you have to get older.
And they don't understand that they're a part of history, whether they want to be or not.
Right.
They're a part of it.
I think you almost got to get older to understand like how important history is. Like I had a history teacher in here already. He's like he writes books and he's a pastor and a history teacher. So we talked about like history and him teaching and things of that nature. But like, I don't know, history will repeat itself.
Over and over and over.
Yeah, there's some cool, and
nobody knows what's going on because they don't know the history.
Yeah. That's so crazy that I played into it. Like I was like 25 when I had like this thing in my head was like, you know what? I should probably figure out where we came from.
And it helps. Like,
it does. It definitely helps.
It does.
I like history, man. All my history teachers were coaches, I think.
Yeah, I'm right in that narrative there. Stereotype of that.
Yeah. Sure. But that is not that you're, so that's the one where you can just say, hey, this is what happened.
I don't have to solve for X, I can't. So thank the Lord. I was telling kids this year, I was like, the class I took in college, my favorite class of math was, it was contemporary math is what they called it at Texas Tech. And it was like, I was like, hey, don't put me in trig or anything like that. No. So it's like 2, 4, 6, what's the next number? And that was the class. It was you try to find these patterns out. Like, I can do that, Yeah. I can't solve for X.
Yeah, solving for X and Y and imaginary numbers. And
I'm like, man, where did y'all come up with these rules? Like, who made the rules of math? Like, it trips me out. I can't do it.
I failed Algebra 1, then retook Algebra 1. Then I failed Algebra 2 and then retook Algebra 2. And I think I took Geometry and there was one more, Math Models or something.
Math Models is a good one. I like Math Models.
Math Models, I can get down with that.
I did get through college algebra in high school, so I didn't even take one my senior year. And then it was like, in college, I had to take one more. And then I took that little contemporary class at Texas Tech to keep me eligible and get my degree. Yeah. That's all I was trying to do at that point.
So did you get a scholarship from baseball?
Yeah, I was a scholarship, at Texarkana first, and then Texas Tech, I was on a scholarship there too. So
I was talking to a guy that came from game day, that was in the beginning of game day, Nick Reed.
Yeah, I know Nick.
Yeah, that's my buddy.
Nick used to come out and do all the interviews and stuff during the playoffs and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's my buddy. He was on here talking. He was talking about the NIL stuff and how they've got all, for the like football and stuff. Is there any type of NIL type deal for baseball and college? Or?
Yeah, so same deal, right? So like you can look at the College World Series right now, and I guarantee you every one of those schools are in the NIL, like they're paying a lot of money to players. I think now it's separating the, it's sad, but like those mid-majors that can't do it, can't afford to pay players are not going to win.
Because they're not going to be able to
pay the LSUs, the A&Ms, look at the 8 teams in Omaha right now, College World Series going on, like all of those guys are, using NIL, I guess, not NIL money, and they're, funding these players. And like, baseball's 11.7 scholarships for your whole team. Well, if you get NIL money, now you're talking about scholarship and 35 guys, so you're cheat coding it if you're willing to put the money into it. And a lot of people are.
So it's definitely affecting the game, making the teams that have money better, huh?
It is, and it's those big Power 5 schools that are going to keep doing it.
How you feel about that?
Man, I'm glad nobody gave me $20,000 when I was in college. Like, I'd have been in trouble. Like, you're not ready for that stuff, man. I don't care what anybody tells you. Like, you want the money, but it's like, being smart about it is a different thing. Like, it just wouldn't have been good for me, like, as a person.
He was saying that when you play sports in college, it's hard to make enough money to,
it's full time. Yeah.
So how do you have money?
Man, you just kind of get by with like, I don't remember ever just die. I remember one time being hungry, like made some tuna helper. Like that's what I made a lot back in college. But like
the tuna helper.
Yeah, it was looking back, it was terrible. But I just kind of, you and your roommate scrounge up some stuff and like, kind of the fun part of it looking back, like
right. But so you stayed at like a dorm with
an apartment, dorm at TC and an apartment down in Lubbock.
Did they pay for the?
No, so like my scholarship was like I had to pay for my apartment, but I got all my school paid for. That was like, because you don't have a full scholarship.
How do you pay for the apartment?
That's where your parents' stuff come in. Like,
so somebody's
luckily I had,
So his whole argument was sometimes people don't have the parents that will pay for you there.
Exactly.
So
that's football's full ride though. So like football's a little different. They have a lot more scholarships to give.
Right.
Baseball in college was like, at that time was, you're looking at 11.7 with no more money given out. So my scholarship was a big scholarship. That's half a scholarship. It's like if you took everybody on half a scholarship, you only get 22 players on a 25-man roster. So when you get half a scholarship, that's a lot of money. And then a lot of guys were on either walking on or on a 25%, which would be a quarter scholarship, which would pay probably tuition, maybe just, stuff like that. Like it wasn't, or part tuition, something like that. So I was lucky enough to have tuition, books, and fees paid for.
Yeah.
And then I just had to pay to live. And that's kind of the college baseball way back in the, early mid 2000s. Yeah. It's just kind of how it went.
Do you think, in some sports, there's always the arguments that that players now are better than the old players?
They are.
So do you feel like that in baseball?
I think that guys are throwing insane fastballs now. Like you're talking about, I saw a guy at A&M throwing 100 2 nights ago in college. Like,
woo.
100.
Yeah, that's heat.
Like, man, that's a little different. Like, I've seen some guys throw 100, but it's like, man, that ain't normal. Not one thing about it. He's just up there like it ain't no big deal. Doop.
Yeah.
I was like, glad I don't play now.
What's the average high school speed of a pitch?
Man, our team is like low 80s, like 83, 84.
Which is plenty fast.
Yeah, you can get outs with whatever. It's just, how you use it.
I'm sure you've heard the what's the hardest sport argument before. And a lot of people throw baseball in there and say because of hitting.
The skill development that goes into hitting a baseball is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like,
so you think that might be I
think that's the hardest skill to develop in sports, just from coaching. And, I was a football player in high school. And like, man, I got hurt in my sophomore year, I broke my collarbone. Junior year, I broke my ankle. In my senior year, I was a pretty good football player. Had I missed 2 years of baseball there's no way. Right. That you get it back and like can develop those skills through, over that time period you lost like you can in other sports, I think. I think basketball's tough too. Like, there's so much skill in every sport when you get to the elite levels. Right, yeah. That it's hard to say like which one's harder, easier.
Then you got like, what's a good batting average? Isn't it?
300 is a good one.
And that's low. You would say if you were 300 out of So explain
3 out of 10.
3 out of 10.
You get a hit 3 out of 10 times, which means you're probably getting on base 4 to 5 out of 10, somewhere in there.
Yeah. But if somebody said if you caught 3 out of 10 passes thrown to you in football,
yeah, you're terrible.
Yeah. Trash.
But that's how hard it is.
Yeah, so I'm just saying that's kind of like that kind of shows right there, like a good batting average. And if you take if you shoot 3 out of 10 shots, I mean that's
if you hit 300 in the big leagues for 15 years, you're a Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
and I mean it's just and you're failing it a lot.
Yeah, it's got to be hard. I think I'm torn between the most physical sports being like football or hockey. My wife got into hockey, and dude, hockey's insane.
Hockey sounds hard because, I mean, number one, the skill to skate. Skating's a huge skill. And then you got to hit a puck. I mean, there's a bunch. Anything you're going to be good at. You got to be
ready to square up, too.
Yeah, and then you got to fight.
You have to fight.
Anything you're going to be good at, though, in life is, it's hard to get to those elite levels without, everybody's going to have... Everything's going to be hard at that point.
How do you get somebody out of like a hitting slump? Because that happens a lot, doesn't it?
Man, a lot of it's mental, but like you try to change kind of what you do with them, their mindset a little bit. I mean, we've had guys go through slumps, that are a month long or a week long. It could be a day slump. Like it's just we try not to use the word slump too much and focus
that'll
more.
Freak somebody out.
Yeah, and it goes back to that, like what we talked about earlier, like the day by day grind. Kind of like, hey, I'm gonna put my head down and just go to work today. And then, show some improvement somewhere, and then you can get better from there.
Yeah, you got to be building some real good character for these kids. It's like not lessons I learned at school. Like the lessons you're teaching these kids, I don't feel like I got those lessons at school.
Man, I sat down, it was probably 2 years ago. I can't remember if it was after last season or the year before. And I sat there, I was like, man, if I want kids to leave my program with one thing, and it's because, coaches get in this thing, and I did it before, where you're trying to do so much. Like, you want them to just be this, that, the other. You're going to focus on character building for 2 hours a week. All this stuff. And it's like, I'm a Christian man, but you sit there and you're like, if I can teach them one lesson, it's going to be work ethic. You know what I mean? Like, how to work, for what you want. Because, work's going to show the fruits of your labor. The fruits of your labor are going to show up at some point. So, good trees produce good fruit. Simple stuff. And it's like, I think if they learn how to work at something, they can be winners in whatever they do after. So it's kind of like my one thing as a coach is going to be work ethic. From here on out, I think that's, unless I change somewhere along the way, right now, that's what I want to see from kids.
Yeah, that's cool. I like the word winner, man. I do. And I think that like we were talking about earlier, kind of like this softer air and then like maybe participation trophy type air. I feel like it's good to be an old school winner, man. That's important.
I feel like I was a winner no matter whether we won or lost. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
it's one of those deals where I'm going to carry myself like I'm a winner, like I'm a champion. And I think that's why we're champions now, because we carried ourselves like champions the whole way through, even through a loss last year, in 12 innings in the title game. And it's like, that's what you kind of manifest this stuff, and how you act is going to lead to you becoming what you want to be. So, if you want to be a champion tomorrow, you better act like one today.
Yeah.
And, nothing really changed other than holding up a trophy on, last June 8th or whatever it was.
Yeah. Man, just seeing high schoolers consistently good, that's I don't know. I was super impressed, man. I was, because you can't, like you said, it's a whole season long. And then when you get into these series and then you get to the end and it's like you have to win at that point. And you just, I don't know, you fight the luck, you fight the deal. But like you said, it all goes back to what y'all are doing every day. And man, that's so impressive. I saw you had them meditating, you had them doing
we
all
do some
kinds
different stuff. So I think the mental game's so important than whether they're praying, whether they're, visualizing whatever they need to do.
Right.
It's just a time for them to kind of refocus. I had when I was with Baltimore, they used to send out a mental coach, and he would go talk to guys that, had a chance to, maybe make it to the big leagues. Well, at one point, I guess they thought I was one of those guys because they'd send him my way, to just talk about, your mental approach to the game. And he had a saying, it was he was like, man, he was like, before you throw your pitch, take a deep breath, visualize the last 15 feet of what you want that pitch to do, and then let it go, and whatever happens, happens. And that's kind of stuck with me, that little lesson. And, I try to get my kids to see it kind of before it happens. we practice dogpiling, which is a celebration. Like, before the regional finals, we always do that. And it's like...
so y'all are at practice and y'all are like...
Yeah, so like, man, this year was the realest one too. So like, it's crazy this year. We've done in the past, kids didn't really buy into it. I was like, no, we're going to do it anyway. I don't care whether you like it or not. Yeah. We're going to do it in the game, so we might as well practice it.
Yeah, when we win, we're going to do it.
Yeah, so this year, like, man, we had to practice. And, man, we had a bad one on Monday. The week we played Salina, I wasn't real happy with practice on Monday. I think we got forced inside on Tuesday, so it wasn't a good day to do it there. So Wednesday was our last practice before we played Salina on Thursday. But we get on the field, we have a good day, and it's like, all right, this feels right. So like, let's practice it, boys. So we put WT at the plate. We put Zyvan, who's our like number one base runner, at second. And man, I throw him a pitch, and WT smokes this thing in the gap, and like it felt so real because everybody was in the dugout, and it was like. I mean, the hats off to the kids, man. Like, I felt it. You know what I'm saying? I was like, dude, we're doing this on Saturday or Friday 1. Like, we're going to be doing it. And we did it. And we did it again in Austin. So it was pretty cool to,
I love it.
Kind of do some of that stuff, man.
That's awesome.
Which is a little out there, but it's the way we do things.
That's just like, that's confidence. Like, and that's teaching them, man.
Yeah, they got to believe in themselves at some point, too. And that's a big part of it, I think.
The NFL guys they practice their celebrations because they know they're going to get a touchdown.
Yeah, I think I talk to hitters all the time, like, man, where are you trying to hit this ball? Like, so man, I'm just trying to hit it. I was like, well, where do you want it to go? Like, what? Like, you got to have a plan on that before you even like. I'm going to assume I'm going to hit the ball. So where do I want it to go when I hit it? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to assume I'm going to miss or throw a ball. Like, like Michael Jordan had that good quote. And I try to use it on my kids all the time. In Last Dance, he was talking about they were talking about him living in the moment. He's like, why would I worry about missing a shot I haven't taken yet? Yeah. Like, why would we worry about missing a pitch that we haven't swung at yet? Like, let's take the other approach and like, we're going to hit them all. So where do you want it to go? Like, what do you want it to look like when it leaves your hand? Like all that stuff. So I don't know. I don't know. It may be working. It may not, but like, that's how we do it.
No, that's cool. If you can visualize where you're heading to, you can kind of plan out your steps better. So,
all right. So this is another rabbit hole for another day, another podcast, whatever. Gotcha. So like, man, we weren't very good. Like, I went back to myself. Like, I was like, all right, I got to change. Like, because these kids, I did the old school, like the practices that I went through when I was young. Like, we're gonna hammer fundamentals. So I started studying like skill acquisition, like how humans learn skills. And like, it's a mental thing more than anything else. And I learned about like how your body, like it's called the Bernstein principle. And like, your body's going to organize itself to like complete whatever task it is you're trying to do. So now this can go into anything. So like Bernstein's principle was, like, so if my goal is to throw this ball as hard as I can, then guess what my body's going to do? It's going to move faster. It's going to organize itself to do that task. Now you start taking your practice, and we started breaking it up into like, hey, what's the goal of this activity so that we can get the most out of our guys? Like, what are they trying to do with their movement? So like, we do a lot of things where like, okay, I want you to hit this ball, but we'll put cones out in the middle of the field. But you can only hit it within the cones. So it's like small-sided games, stuff you do like 2-on-2 basketball drill, like stuff like that in other sports I've kind of pulled. And, we do a bunch of that stuff where it's like, hey, this is like, the goal is simple, but make your body do it. Like, this is where you need to go with the ball. Like, make sure that you can organize to do those things. And if you can't, we got to go back to the drawing board and find a task you can do and to get better at this one. You know what I mean? So like, we kind of work that way, and it's back and forth a little bit, but learning skill acquisition has changed the way I coach. Another thing you learn through skill acquisition is like engagement is like the number one thing. Like making sure kids are engaged in what your activity is, because like when you lose engagement, like you're just patterning, like you're not, they're just trying to figure out how to get through it. And when you see them in that mode, it's kind of like, man, I got to either change this up or get them refocused. And it's kind of like, you kind of ride that line of like, I know this is a good activity, but they're not focused, so it's on them. Yeah. And then other times it's like, how do you like kind of transform this task a little bit to make it more engaging, so it's more fun, I guess, to say, and stuff like that. I've definitely
been in a practice before. I played boring. And it does get boring. I traveled playing soccer. I was cold at soccer, dude. We traveled all over.
Soccer's ahead of everybody in skill acquisition, by the way. Like, no, they got the best, like, they have the best breakdowns of, like, small-sided games and stuff. I've looked at a lot of soccer coaches and what they do, and it's really cool. The sport of soccer is, like, way ahead on that.
I loved playing soccer, and I was good. And we traveled everywhere. We played Dallas, we played Shreveport, we played Rockwall, we go to Little Rock. So like almost every weekend we had this team, Texarkana United, and they don't even do it no more. But like we would go like every weekend we would play. And one thing they did good was like making games out of it. We would always have a ton of games.
That's what we try to do in practice.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all. Like I'm trying to always find a way to make it competitive for those kids in whatever we're doing. Just a little bit of, maybe just add one rule, just a simple game is probably the best. Like I've had times where I've gotten too complicated with it, had to dial it back a little bit. But simple is better when it comes to competing because kids love it. Like,
I mean, you're trying to build a winner, and you gotta
actually practice winning, right?
Winning.
Like, practice winning. You got to practice losing too, so you learn from it.
Too, so you know
nothing teaches you like losing now.
Yeah,
I promise you.
Losing, that's their.
Yeah, and then the consequences that come with losing.
Yeah,
so it's like one of those deals where you kind of ride that, but man, it's a lot of fun to try to be creative in practice and try to think of games that you can make up. And sometimes they work, sometimes they do not work.
Yeah. So I got one last question and we'll wind her down. Have you ever had to deal with like some burnout? Like, or is baseball just enough to just always keep on?
I deal with some I get bored with things sometimes, but not on baseball. It's like the practice activities, maybe like trying to branch off. Like if you came and watched practice 5 years ago, it would look completely different now. And I want it to look completely different in 5 years from now.
Right.
And it's like, just like we talked about engagement, like I get disengaged as well.
Yeah, because you've got to be mentally.
I'm the one that has to be the most locked into what we're doing and kind of in tune with it, and then feel where they're in tune with it, and it's one of those deals where like I get burnt out with the activity and we don't really do it anymore. And you can ask every team we've had, like, we do something different every year that makes a team click. And this year we had a game called the point game. We played it the day before every game, and it's basically a fast pace. Like you're trying to get every 90 feet, you get a point. And last year, I remember we did, what was it last year? One year it was like straight inter squad, like straight scrimmage. Like they loved it. And that's kind of what got them going and what kept us engaged. I love
scrimmaging.
And that's how it was. And like scrimmaging in baseball is tough because it slows down so much. Your ball one, all that. But, being efficient with it, we find ways to kind of, hey, we're going to automatic steal, you get a freebie. Like you get thrown out second, go back to first, do it again. Next time you're out, but you get a free one to make the game a little more exciting. We'll change the rules, stuff like that. But it's like, I don't get burnt out on baseball ever. It's more like, because the game evolves. So like, I try to evolve with it and learn. And that's the fun stuff. It's like, something new, like, hey, let's try it. Like, see if it works. It may not work, but
gotta try it.
We're going to try it. Yeah. We're going to try it.
Well, hey, man, I'm so glad you came on, bro.
That was fun.
And I'm glad. I'm glad for the community. I'm glad for the kids. The baseball program is I don't know, man. It's like a big bright light for Liberty Eylau right now.
And we hope it stays that way. And we're gonna work. We celebrated last week. Everybody, we kind of took a week off, but it's back to work today, and we're gonna start moving towards 2025 and seeing what we got to do to, hoist that trophy up again.
Yeah,
is the goal. So
got to keep going.
Let's roll.
I appreciate it. Hey, for the channel, like, share, and subscribe, do all that cool stuff. Hit the bell, let you know when all the new videos drop. Man, if you tapped in this long, we definitely appreciate you. Appreciate you for coming on the show, man. And y'all have a blessed day.
I enjoyed it.